Good morning. I think I'm ready. Well, I'll get this straightened out a little. I like my picture to be just right and my kitty cat to be just right. You know what? That cat looks just like Big Tom, and he's such a jewel. We love him. Watch this little cat now. All right. Good morning. This is August the 7th. Next month I get my birthday, September 92. Looking forward. Always look forward, but I'm going to give you another chapter of my happy day married life. Well, that lasted for a little while, so I'll just tell you what happened, and I'll read my verse. I looked it up already on my phone. Well, where did it go? It's right here. Corinthians 13:6, which says, "Love does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth." We don't rejoice when wrongdoing happens. We're happy when we find out the right thing. And I'm glad I know the right thing and that I know Jesus, because he is the right thing. And he gives us eternal life when we know him and live for him and let him direct our path. And he's directed mine still today. So James is over at the house, and he called me a while ago, and he said, because this is almost noon. He said, "I'm at the house and I'm going to take a nap." I said, "Well, I'm just now treating my feet and getting started on my video." He said, "Go ahead," because when he takes a nap, it'll last for an hour. So I'll go back over to his house and load up my dinner bag. And I carry a bag that's hot and cold, and I carry food and stuff back and forth so that we don't starve. That's for sure. We went out for breakfast this morning to McDonald's. They have a good big breakfast and we share it. I have one pancake, the hash browns, and he eats two pancakes and the rest of it. And so I eat less, and it's doing good. So, yesterday I was talking about happy day when I got married at 16. Well, that happy day did not last too long. It lasted a while. I mean, we got us a little apartment, and I was so happy that I could listen to the radio all I wanted to. And I don't think I told you the rest of that, but I will now. So we would go to bed, me and Buddy, and we had a full size bed, which is not too big, honestly. So we would go to bed, and I would turn at the head of my bed. It had a place you could put the radio, and I would turn it on to whatever I wanted to listen to. And I would wake up at 11 o'clock because, I was always used to going to bed early, but I thought I'm going to stay up late. Daddy never would let us do it, but I'm going to now. Ha ha ha. No way, Jose. So I would wake up and the radio will still be going, and I said, "Uh-oh, I went to sleep again." So I just turn it off and go to sleep. I never did get in the habit of staying up later and listening to my programs. It was just a dream I had, and they don't always come true. But you hope for the best. And like I was telling somebody recently, we live in the present right now. Today is our present, and yesterday's gone, and tomorrow's not here. So we live in the present. And isn't that cat cute? Just like Big Tom. He's even got the same markings as Big Tom. And did you see that little short I did with them cats sitting on that bar? Well, I fixed that bar up. James put it in, and I really like it. And I just decorated it with thingamajigs, doodads, and whatchamacallits, dust catchers. You know what a dust catcher is? That's what I like about the ones in the corner. It's got doors on it, glass doors, and you don't have to dust them. But you do have to dust those that sit on the bar. I don't have to anymore. No way, Jose, because part of part of the things were little glass things, like little frogs and stuff that you get at the Dollar Tree. They're just cute as they can be. And part of them broke and part of them didn't, that I had sitting there. So I said, well, the cats claimed it. So we just decided to give it to them. Decided we didn't have a choice because they're going to knock off everything I put up there. Now, my modem is sitting there. my Wi-Fi modem, but they haven't knocked it off, thank goodness. And when I did that video last night of them 3 cats, I did not realize that Mama Cat, a Busy is her name, was over there. James is so neat. Ha ha ha. He had took off his shorts, his short pants that he wears, and folded them and put them on a chair that he put his feet up on. And they love to be on your clothes. They love to smell you, I think. So she was over there on his shorts, just taking her time. And I had not seen her there. And somebody commented and said, I saw the other cat over there in the background. And I looked at it again, and there she was. So, okay, married life. It was good for a while. We could manage the rent. And then it got worse because he kind of got out of work. They sold the bakery to somebody else. So he had to find him another job somewhere. And then we moved in with this older couple that had owned the bakery. But they were planning, and they let us have a bedroom, and Buddy found something to do. I don't remember what. It's been since 1950, and I don't remember everything, but I remember living with this couple because their girls were already moved out. They had 2 daughters that I was good friends with. In fact, one of them was Margie, the one that told me I could have Buddy. If you want him, because he was working for her daddy, and I took him. I wanted him. I loved him. He was cute as he could be, handsome. He was about 5'11". I like tall men. When I met James and he was 6'3", wow, he's a big guy. I'm 5'2". And I told on one of my YouTube channels back when I was talking about the time he was looking at our wedding pictures. And we had a nice wedding. A couple of girlfriends helped me cook. And that's that 3rd wedding. And we got married in a big building that he had out at Greenville. It was a building that was like 6,000 square feet upstairs and downstairs. So the upstairs was like an apartment complex, and the downstairs had been a flea market. And he bought that building, and that's where we had our wedding. And so we invited 50 or 60 people, but I went ahead and cooked for them. And 2 girls helped me cook. And you know what we did? We bought. I asked. Oh yeah, let me tell you. He was looking at our wedding pictures, and he looked at them and he said, "Honey, I didn't realize you was so short." And I looked at him and I said, "But I walk tall." And that helped get a lot of subscribers back in the old days, 2 years ago, because they put it on TikTok. But anyway, we got married out there because the church that we wanted to get married in, when he asked the pastor if we could get married there, and that this Elvis impersonator who has papers and is a preacher and has a little church way out in the country, if we could use their church. And he said, I got to take that to the board and find out if you can have a wedding here like that, because that don't sound too good, getting married by an Elvis impersonator. And he still does that guy does, and he's good. So, and I forget his name. I've been married to James now going on 16 years. So anyway, he took it to the board, and the board said, no, we don't want that in our church. True story. So James hurried up, and it was December. He put Christmas lights up top and up and that, got chairs. And when I went to get a cake, James gave me $200 to help with the wedding. He said, this will handle it, won't it? I said, sure, that'll be plenty, because I already had a dress and a veil. I had a veil I bought at the Salvation Army. I'm thrifty, and James is thrifty. That's a whole lot what we have in common. We may have money to buy other stuff, but we enjoy being thrifty, frugal. So, so I had a nice dress, not white, and so we got married, and I decided to get a wedding cake. So I called the place that makes them. And I said, I want a wedding cake that'll such and such. And how much would that be? She said, well, that'll run around $150. That blew my whole budget almost. I mean, I got to buy hams, and I was going to bake, which this was a furnished apartment, so we could bake the ham there. And me and my two girlfriends just took care of everything. I said, I'm not going to do that. So you know what I did? Because it was ahead of time. I went to Walmart, and back 15 years ago and six, they would put cakes on sale for like $5 that were like $10, half price. So I just bought a bunch of them cakes and put in my freezer. And then when it came time, I had about 7 or 8 different kind of cakes, and we just put them on the bar up there, upstairs in this building that he owned. Fact is, that building used to be a Pony Express stop. It's that old. A pony, and then it was turned into a flea market downstairs for many years, and people lived upstairs. So we had our wedding upstairs, and James decorated it, and it just turned out lovely. My family came, and we just had a lovely wedding, and the wedding came off, and the guy played the guitar and sang a gospel song for our wedding, and we enjoyed that. I've got pictures of it. I wonder if I could show you any of them. Where'd my phone go? Right here. I'm not thought about doing that. I was going to tell about old Happy Day went down the tubes when I married Buddy. We lived. I'm back to where I was. You know how I am. So we was living with them, and they were lovely, but they were preparing. In a few months, they were going to move to California, and their girls was going to go with them, and their husbands. One of them was married, the other one was not. I think she was in college or something. I don't remember. But anyway, so they kit and caboodle was going to move. But while we stayed there a few months, she did all the cooking. We ate meals with them. It was wonderful. And then they left, and we didn't know what we was going to do. What was we going to do? Well, Jane, Buddy, I get their names mixed up sometimes. Y'all excuse me. They are so much alike. You can hardly believe it. I mean, in personality and the way they have a sense of humor, and I can keep them laughing, which James just chuckles at me all the time, and I just enjoy being his entertainer, and I love entertaining y'all. Now, Chit Chat Granny Pat says she's just so thrilled when she can keep company with you all, and I am too. So anyway, they moved away, so he got a job or something. I don't remember what he did, and we moved into another little apartment that was 2 rooms. It was better, and it was nice, and it was in a big house, and we had 2 rooms. We had a kitchen and a living room bedroom right across from St. Edward's Hospital. It was a nice location, and you could grab a bus and go wherever you wanted to go. And to do grocery shopping, I had to take a bus to the A&P store, which was way on down around the corner, but you could get your groceries, your bologna and your light bread and your pork and beans, because I had not, and potatoes. I cooked a lot of fried potatoes. And of course, we called them fried taters, and eggs, just elementary things you have to have, and milk. And we had a little refrigerator. I mean, we went uptown, but it was still bad, and we were not making it. So he says, I'm going to join the Navy. And that way you will have money and you can make it, and you will have money coming in every month. I'll send my money to you, and that's what I'm going to do. So he went and joined up with the Navy, and he was gone. So I went and got me a job at the Bobolink restaurant, little restaurant, and I moved in. I met a girl somewhere. I don't know. She was a sweet girl. Her name was Wanda. And we moved in together in a little 2 room apartment not far from the Bobolink restaurant, where we could walk back and forth. And we worked second shift. And I just enjoyed it. But Buddy was gone. But guess what? He went AWOL 2 times. That means absent without leave. He came home. And it was terrible. So finally, when he got settled, because when he went back the last time from being AWOL, we had ended up, it was, Oh, happy day was long gone. He had heard that I was going dancing and running around on him. His brother wrote him a letter and said I was running around on him. I was going square dancing with some of my girlfriends, and some of them had a car, and we would go out to Pine Ridge and square dance on Saturday nights, and it was just a lot of fun. They had a band, and they would call the square dancing. We just danced. We just had a ball, and that's what I was doing. I was with the other girls, because you in a square dance you could just anybody could dance. I never danced face to face with anybody out there, but anyhow, he ended up in the brig up in Great Lakes, and the chaplain wrote me a letter and said it would not be good for me to be untrue to my husband while he's in the service, that it's emotionally damaging to him to think that I am dating someone, which I wasn't. I said, for pity's sake, to myself, I'm not dating anybody. I'm going to fix that. So, you know what I did? I got me a suitcase. I packed up my suit, my little shoes, my little hat with a veil on it, and I quit my job at the Bobolink, told my girlfriend I was leaving, didn't tell anybody else because my parents lived out in the farm, 20 miles away, and I didn't have anybody to tell that I was leaving except my roommate and the guy I was working for. I caught me a bus to Great Lakes, and I went to Great Lakes where he was in the brig. Got me a job right on the base. And so finally we started having some. See, I told Daddy, I said, Dad, I really need to divorce him. He's just messing up and doing so bad, and I can't seem to can't keep him in the Navy. And what am I going to do? I want a divorce. My dad said, you made your bed. Now lay in it. You said, for better or worse. Now do it. You don't do that. You cannot. Well, I didn't have no money to get a divorce anyway. There wasn't no way I could have got a divorce. I just was sick of trying to work things out. I mean, it's hard when you're 17, 18 years old and trying to keep things together. Because one time, I don't remember the exact thing, but one time I ran off from him during that time that we was together. We took a, he was working a little bit, but not much. And I was so disgusted with him that I was at this auction. Now, I have never told anybody this, but I'm going to tell y'all. You won't tell nobody, will you? So we was at this auction, and I met this couple. And I told them what a terrible time I was having with my married life, and it was awful. It was the pits, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And they said, well, I tell you what. We live in Louisville, and we're getting ready to go on vacation. We got a couple of kids, and would you want to come babysit for us for a couple of weeks? And we'll pay you. Honey, I went. I never told Buddy bye or nothing. I was 17 years old and didn't have a lick of sense. And that's a fact, Jack. I was I was out of my mind with worry and not knowing what to do, so I ran away and I went with them. And they were a nice couple. Said they loved the Lord. I was a Christian. They were Christians, they said, and I think they really were, because when I went, their kids were good kids, and I babysat them. And when they got back, I said, well, I'm going to go back home and back to our apartment and see if I can find my husband, see what's going on. Norman and Denny don't know this, but I never told anybody. I never told anybody. The Lord knew it. So I went back to where our apartment was. He didn't have a job. He had sold, I had bought a refrigerator and a bedroom set, and I don't know what. He sold it all and was living on it. Living on it. That's when he went in the Navy. Said, I got to do better. I got to be able to support you, and I can't now. And then is when I got the job at the Bobolink. That's the time I ran away. So we made up. I tell you what, I just didn't know what to do. So I got a job at the Bobolink, and me and this girlfriend had an apartment together. And then I went to Great Lakes. And so we stopped over in Chicago, and I told y'all about how uh, you have heard this. A lot of you have heard it. How when I got off the bus, there was this beautiful couple, sophisticated. Her hair was in a French twist. She was so gorgeous. And the man with her was wearing a suit and a tie. And they said, "Did you just get in town?" And I said, "Yes, I just got here." "Well, have you got a place to stay?" And I said, "No." They said, "Well, you know what? You could come stay with us and till you get a job." And we help girls and people that come into town. It's just what we do. It's a charity thing, and we do that. But as I told you before, I had read that book that Daddy bought at an auction when I was like 15 years old before I got married about white slavery and how that people meet young girls and young men and people and put them into sex work, and they tell them they're going to find them, they keep them till they find a job, and it's all a big lie, and you are a slave from then on. You can't get away because you're caught. And I knew what was happening. Thank you, Jesus. And I've said that before, that the Lord let me know and read that book when I was just younger. Otherwise, I might have been tempted. But I said, no, thank you. I'm going to go to Traveler's Aid. And I went to Traveler's Aid, and they helped me get a room in the Y, Young Women's Society. And the next morning, I caught the bus going on to the base, and I went on to Great Lakes. So when I went to Great Lakes, I put on my little hat, put on my little 3/4 length shoes, and said, who is head of this? I need to talk to whoever is in charge of this base. And they just took me right to him. I told him my story, that my husband thought I was running around, and he's in the brig here, and I need to stay so he will stay in the service. He said, "Well, you know what? Let me think about this." He said, "We have a job opening in the laundry. Would you want that?" I said, "Yes, I'll take that. That'll give me money." Of course, I was getting my money, and I had saved some that Buddy had sent me. So I wasn't exactly broke. I have always had a bankroll in back of me, maybe only $200 or $300, but I always did that because you never know when you're going to need a retread or something on one of your cars. That was later in life. Never had a car for a long time. So he said, okay. So I went to work in the laundry, and I could see the over the field Buddy coming out, and the guards watching him as he picks up trash and cleans the grounds, because the brig was right over not far from the laundry. Isn't that something? My, I shake my head on the things that I've done and what I did. I was a gutsy young woman, really, and now I'm a gutsy old woman. I still got nerve. It hasn't left me yet because I went on YouTube and I'm having fun. And I was just talking to somebody this morning, and his birthday, back when Christopher, I met him on YouTube, and somehow or other, we got his phone number. I don't know. And so I called him because he said he was loved Christ and was a Christian, and he loved sin. So he called today, and I hadn't heard from him in a long time. And we had the best talk, sharing about Jesus and everything. It was so good. And he's working a different job now, and he's single, but he has got a good friend that loves the Lord also. I said, you got to have a good friend that you can discuss the Lord with, and share your prayer request with. And I do that with y'all. I got good friends that when I have a prayer request, I just tell y'all about it. And prayers go up. There's a lot of praying people out there in the world. People say, I hear people say, fact is, I've got a relative that says, I'm not going to watch YouTube. It's got too much nasty stuff on it. Well, it's got good stuff too. And there's praying people out there. So, anyhow, I heard from Christopher, and I had a picture of him. He sent me a picture, and I put it on YouTube, and his phone number was on it. And somebody said, "Do you know that is an invasion of prophecy?" And Christopher, and I told him, he said, "Let him call me. I'll talk to him." Nobody called him. Nobody cared. Shucks, because he's single and 55 years old and very good looking. I still got his picture somewhere. And he's got 2 cats that are long haired. And we talked about how he cut one down himself. I told him, people, you can't get a groomer hardly to do cats anymore. Now I do Big Tom, and I still have my stuff. And he wanted to know what happened to Melissa, my how she's doing. You know, the 18-wheeler driver. I said she's engaged to be married, and they haven't set the date yet, but I'm sure we're going to have a nice wedding. Anyhow, James called excuse me, called me a while ago and said he was just not feeling well. The humidity is so bad today. We all talk about the weather, don't we? And it's so bad. And he went out to where they're working on one house. Gary's working. Gary's doing better, and his little girl's doing better. So anyhow, they're going to do a biopsy on her. It's the lump is by her thyroid gland, and they're going to do a biopsy on it 28th of August. But she was having epileptic seizures real bad, and they had to put her in a hospital. But she hasn't had any now, and she's doing a lot better, and she's home. So thank you for your prayers. And I was praying. Absolutely. Touch your Lord and touch those. You know, we pray for each other. I love this. It's going to stay in back till we get done, I hope, because I want to keep this cat as company while I'm talking to you. Oh, yeah. Now, where was I? I don't know. But I enjoy life. God is good. Maybe about, oh, yeah, James called me. He's not feeling good today. See, the humidity is so bad today. They even announced it on the weather report this morning. And when it gets bad and he's got COPD, he has difficulty breathing. He has to take his puffer, I call it puffer, inhaler, to help him. And he called me and he said, he went out to visit one of his houses where Gary's working, and he says, I'm going home. I'm going to take a nap. He said, take your time. I said, well, I'll come home and fix you some lunch later. No problem. So I'll pack up stuff and go over there. I tell you what, it is good to have a husband when you're 91 years old and to be able to take care of him. That's a miracle of God, children. And I'm thanking him for it all the time. And I feel good today. I'm rested up. I took me a nap. I tell you what, I came over here this morning to my house, and the first thing I did, because we get up early. I mean, we get up 5 o'clock or earlier. I just took me a little nap, and before I got this done, and now it's a little after 12, and I'm done. And y'all have been a good company for me this morning. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to finish my coffee and pack up and head for where he lives. And they cannot get started on that thing till the weather gets better. But at least it's there and it can be put together. And 2 men, and he's got 2 good men. He's got Martine and Gary, and they can put that together in one day. We will have a gazebo. So when that happens, I'll let you know. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this before I leave. I got to thinking, I've been here a long time in this house since 1980. I have lived in this back apartment. The front house is rented, and it's a 3-bedroom brick, bath and a half. Very nice. But I was thinking, I remembered when I had a skill saw. I hadn't thought of a skill saw. And I said, James, you know that turkey that's so unattractive? I'm being kind. It's ugly. That's not kind, but it's just ugly. But it could be fixed. It has potential. I said, I need a skill saw. And I remembered that 15 years ago when I had a skill saw, and he said, well, where's it at? I said, it's in my house somewhere in my apartment. So this morning I went looking for my skill saw, and I had a pack of blades. Well, I started looking through little cabinets, and then I found my skill saw, and I found 2 electric screwdrivers. You know, because I used to do all my stuff myself, and I was always needing a skill saw for this, that, or the other. I don't remember now what it was, but I found my skill saw, and You run it by electric, but I might need. But we're on that turkey. If you will look at it, they just put the board square. So what we want to do is make them look like feathers. He said, "Well, what color are we going to paint it?" He said, "What color?" He said, "What color is turkeys?" I said, "Well, now Kim, my baby daughter, has a male turkey that's white, and when he puts his feathers up, and they put their feathers up, he's got a white fan behind him." He said, "Well, we can do that and paint him white. That won't be no problem. And then he'll be a white turkey." The name of Kim's turkey is Swan. She names her chickens and her turkeys. And she's got one named Christopher. Christopher, she's got a turkey named Christopher. I don't know if Chris says he still watches my videos. He don't chat much because he's on a crazy shift. Comment, I mean, but he commented the other day. And anyway, we're going to name it. She's got this turkey named Christopher, and he's black, but we don't want to paint him black. We want to paint him white, James said, and put his red thing in his neck, and fix him up. So he may be real pretty later, like Cinderella, who didn't have a chance, dressed in horrible rags, and finally they found the shoe that fit her, or something like that. The story. So we'll turn him into, I don't know, Romeo, and make him a big white turkey and put his red down the front. And maybe we won't have to put him in behind the shed after all. Well, I gotta go. I have some rats to kill. Have you heard that before? Kentucky Life with Debbie is now reading uh, Anne of Green Gables. And I hope she's got another episode on, because I tell you what, it's kind of fun to listen to her read Anne of Green Gables. I was going to check it out of the library and read it myself, but I've got another good book going that I want to read right now if I get time. I just stay so busy. And I thank God that I can keep my mind occupied and still be busy and drive my own car. Kiddos, God is good to me. And thank you for praying for me at times and remembering me. And I remember y'all. So you have a good day. Gotta go. Walk that path. And it's your choice where Jesus would be pleased with you. Bye bye.